From translation, Net New English Translation, this 211 day of the year, today we are reading passages, Isaiah 9-12, Isaiah chapter 9, verses 1 to 21. Nevertheless, the gloom of the defeated will not be so thick. As in the past, he brought shame to the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali. In the future he will bring honor to the way of the sea, to the region east of the Jordan, and to Galilee of the nations. The people walking in darkness see a bright light. A light shines on those living in the land of death's shadow. You have enlarged the nation, you give them great joy. They rejoice in your presence as harvesters rejoice, as warriors celebrate when they divide the plunder. For the yoke that burdened them, the bar on their shoulders, and the rod of their oppressor you have shattered, as in the day of Midian. For all the boots of the warriors are used in battle, and the garments rolled in blood will be for burning and fuel for the fire. For a child has been born to us, a son has been given to us. He shoulders responsibility and is called Extraordinary Strategist, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. His dominion will be vast, and he will bring immeasurable prosperity. He will rule on David's throne and over David's kingdom, establishing it and strengthening it by promoting justice and fairness, from this time forward and forevermore. The Lord's intense devotion to his people will accomplish this. The Lord sent a message against Jacob, it struck Israel. All the people will know, including Ephraim and the inhabitants of Samaria, who say with pride and arrogance, the bricks have fallen, but we will rebuild with chiseled stone. The sycamore fig trees have been cut down, but we will replace them with cedars. So the Lord raised up their adversaries against them, and stirred up their enemies, the Arameans from the east and the Philistines from the west. They devoured Israel. Even in all this, his anger has not turned away, and his hand is still ready to strike. But the people did not return to the one who struck them, and they did not seek the Lord of heaven's armies. So the Lord cut off from Israel head and tail, palm branch and reed in a single day. The elders and prominent men are the head, the prophets who teach lies are the tail. For those who laid this people laid them astray, and those who are led are destroyed. That is why the Lord will not rejoice over their young men, nor will he show compassion on their orphans and widows. For they are all hypocrites and evildoers, every mouth speaks foolishness. Even with all this his anger does not turn away, his hand is still ready to strike. For wickedness burns like fire, it consumes briars and thorns. It sets the forest underbrush on fire, which goes up in billowing smoke. By the wrath of the Lord of heaven's armies the land is scorched, the people are the fuel for the fire. No one spares his brother. They slice meat on the right, but they are still hungry. They eat on the left, but they are not satisfied. Each one devours the flesh of his own children. Manasseh fights against Ephraim, and Ephraim against Manasseh. Together they fight against Judah. Even with all this, his anger does not turn away, his hand is still ready to strike. Isaiah chapter 10, verses 1 to 34. Those who enact unjust policies are as good as dead. Those who are always instituting unfair regulations, to keep the poor from getting fair treatment, and to deprive the oppressed among my people of justice, so they can prey on widows and rob orphans. What will you do on the day of punishment, when disaster comes from far away? To whom will you run for help? Where will you leave your wealth? You will have no place to go, except to kneel among the prisoners or to die among the slain. Even with all this his anger does not turn away, his hand is still ready to strike. Doomed to Assyria, the rod of my anger, the club in their hands is my fury. I will send him against an ungodly nation, against the people whom I want to punish. He will take plunder and carry off loot, and trample them down like mud in the streets. But this is not what he intends, this is not what he plans. It is his intent to destroy and to put an end to many nations. For he says, Are not my commanders all kings? Is not Calno like Carchemish? Is not Hamath like Arpad? Is not Samaria like Damascus? Just as my hand seized the idolatrous kingdoms, whose graven images were superior to those of Jerusalem and Samaria, and just as I did to Samaria and her idols, so I will do to Jerusalem and her idols. When the Lord finishes all his work against Mount Zion and Jerusalem, he will punish the king of Assyria for his willful pride and his arrogant haughtiness. For he says, I have done this by my own strength and wisdom, for I am clever. I have abolished the boundaries of nations and have plundered their treasures. Like a mighty conqueror, I have subdued their inhabitants. My hand has found the wealth of the nations, as if it were a nest, the wealth of the peoples like one gathers abandoned eggs. I have gathered the whole world. Not one winged creature was missing. Does an axe exalt itself over the one who wields it, or a saw magnify itself over the one who cuts with it? As if a staff should wave the one who raises it, or a rod should lift up a person who is not made of wood. Therefore the sovereign Lord, the Lord of heaven's armies, will send a wasting disease among his sturdy warriors. Under his authority a burning fire will be ignited, like a great flaming fire. The light of Israel will become a fire, their Holy One will be aflame. It will burn and consume the Assyrian king's briars and his thorns in a single day. He will consume the glory of his forest and his orchard, consuming both soul and body. They will be like a sick man wasting away. The remaining trees of his forest will be so few that a child could count them. At that time, the remnant of Israel, the survivors of the family of Jacob, will no longer rely on the one who struck them, but will faithfully rely on the Lord, the Holy One of Israel. A remnant will return, the remnant of Jacob, to the mighty God. For although your people, O Israel, are like the sand of the sea, only a remnant of them will return. An extermination is determined, overflowing with righteousness. For the sovereign Lord, the Lord of heaven's armies, is carrying out a destroying decree, executed throughout the land. So here is what the sovereign Lord, the Lord of heaven's armies, says. My people who live in Zion, do not be afraid of Assyria, even though they beat you with a club and lift their cudgel against you as Egypt did. For in just a little longer my anger will be completed, and my wrath will be poured out on their destruction. The Lord of heaven's armies will brandish a whip against them, as he struck Midian at the rock of Oreb. He will raise his staff over the sea, as he did in Egypt. At that time his burden will fall from your shoulders, and his yoke from your neck. The yoke will be destroyed because your neck will be too fat. He invades Aiath, passes through Migron, he stores his equipment at Michmash. They cross over at the pass, they spend the night at Jebah. Ramah trembles, Jibah of Saul runs away. Shout out, O daughter of Galim. Pay attention, Laisha. O poor Anathoth, Madmenah is in flight, the people of Jebim take cover. This very day he stands at Nob, shaking his fist at the mountain of the daughter of Zion, the hill of Jerusalem. Look, the sovereign Lord of heaven's armies is lopping off the boughs with terrifying power. The tall trees are cut down, the high ones are felled. He will cut down the thickets of the forest with an iron tool, and Lebanon will fall by the mighty one. Isaiah chapter 11, verses 1 to 16. A shoot will grow out of Jesse's root stock, a bud will sprout from his roots. The Spirit of the Lord will rest on him, the Spirit of wisdom and of understanding, the Spirit of counsel and of strength, the Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord. He will delight in obeying the Lord. He will not judge by mere appearances, or make decisions on the basis of hearsay. He will treat the poor fairly, and make just decisions for the downtrodden of the land. He will strike the earth with the rod of his mouth, and order the wicked to be executed. Justice will be like a belt around his waist, integrity will be like a belt around his hips. A wolf will reside with a lamb, and a leopard will lie down with a young goat. An ox and a young lion will graze together, as a small child leads them along. A cow and a bear will graze together, their young will lie down together. A lion, like an ox, will eat straw. A baby will play over the hole of a snake, over the nest of a serpent an infant will put his hand. They will no longer injure or destroy on my entire royal mountain, for there will be universal submission to the Lord's sovereignty, just as the waters completely cover the sea. At that time a root from Jesse will stand like a signal flag for the nations. Nations will look to him for guidance, and his residence will be majestic. At that time the Lord will again lift his hand to recover the remnant of his people which remain in Assyria, Egypt, Pathros, Cush, Elam, Shinar, Hamath, and the seacoasts. He will raise a signal flag for the nations. He will gather Israel's dispersed people, and assemble Judah's scattered people from the four corners of the earth. Ephraim's jealousy will end, and Judah's hostility will be eliminated. Ephraim will not be jealous of Judah, and Judah will not be hostile toward Ephraim, but they will swoop down on the Philistine hills to the west. They will plunder the people of the east. They will take over Edom and Moab, and the Ammonites will be their subjects. The Lord will divide the gulf of the Egyptian sea. He will wave his hand over the Euphrates River and send a strong wind. He will turn it into 7 dried-up streams, and enable them to walk across in their sandals. There will be a highway for the remnant of his people that is left from Assyria, just as there was for Israel when they came up from the land of Egypt. Isaiah chapter 12, verses 1 to 6. At that time you will say, I praise you, O Lord, for even though you were angry with me, your anger subsided, and you consoled me. Look, God is my deliverer. I will trust in him and not fear, for the Lord gives me strength and protection. He has become my deliverer. Joyfully you will draw water from the springs of deliverance. At that time you will say, praise the Lord, call on his name, tell the nations what he has done, remind them of his magnificence. Sing to the Lord, for he has done magnificent things. Let this be known throughout the earth. Shout out and sing for joy, O citizens of Zion, for the Holy One of Israel acts mightily among you.